Welcome to Frontline Women, a show dedicated to women on the leading edge of change and culture renewal in America. I'm Dalisia Coppersmith, and I'll be your host and guide as we explore emerging issues and opportunities for women to lead side by side with men every day. So let's get off the sideline and onto the front line right now. Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I hear women fret over quite often. When I say fret, I mean they get angry. And what we want to try to do is not get angry about this situation, but instead be able to handle it with grace and ease in a way that builds relationships and credibility. So what do you say when you can't get a word in edgewise in a meeting? That's a tough one, right? I bet you've been in that situation where you've tried to speak up once, twice, maybe even a third time, and people just keep talking over you, or if you say something, they just pretend like you hadn't said anything at all, and they move on to the next topic. We're not going to get into all the reasons in the psychology why this happens. If you've listened to prior episodes about the dynamics around women leaders, that will, give you the foundation that you need to understand why some of these things happen. I think now we're at the point in the podcast where we're going after specific situations and what we can do to really reframe things and reprogram our teams to behave in a way that is more respectful and inclusive of you as a leader. So I did, in a previous episode, talk about an executive who tried to speak up, and she actually had to do it 4 times, and she was one of the people who was being briefed in the meeting. If you've ever seen a situation like that, it is awkward. Let me tell you, it is awkward. Now, it wasn't awkward for the men in the room because they were completely oblivious. They had no idea that she had tried to speak up that many times. But she and I made eye contact, and I probably gave her that look like, what are you going to do? And she handled it in a very effective way. But that's something that I want to make sure that you leave this episode having your own way to respond to this, and to do it without frustration and to do it early on. So today we're going to cover 3 typical reactions that either I have seen or that some of my clients have shared with me when they can't get a word in edgewise in a meeting. And then we'll go over 3 healthier ways to respond. It's nothing that you're going to have to write down a list or anything like this. I just want you to imagine yourself responding differently, and hopefully that'll stick, and you'll be equipped with that the next time it happens. Why is this so important to work on? Well, number one, it does affect our credibility if we respond in a way that is awkward for the team or in a way that is forceful. It affects the way that others see us if we withdraw as well. Okay, so we're going to talk through all these things and the impact that they have. But the first thing that I wanted to go over, the first reaction that I see, is the big shutdown. And that's where you've tried to speak up once or twice or maybe even 3 times, and you're so frustrated that you just go quiet. You sit back in your chair, you might even cross your arms, and you just wait for the meeting to be over with. And you're kind of fuming. Others pick up that you're fuming, but they don't know why. So this damages our credibility in 2 ways. Number one, in the moment, we look like we are disengaged or that we're angry about something and nobody understands why you're angry. But after the meeting, we start to tell ourselves that these people won't hear me. They never listen to me. They won't let me speak. Then we go into the situation the next time, and without even realizing it, we are soft pedaling so much that of course they don't hear us. Of course they don't. So it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy that we start to speak up and then we immediately stop because we believe it's our narrative, right? They're not listening to me. So we close up inside ourselves again. And so it affects us in the moment, but it also affects us after the moment when that becomes the narrative that we are constantly, I'll say we complete the narrative. We subconsciously make sure that that's what happens over and over again in the meetings. And we don't even realize that we're doing that. We're actually making sure that end result we don't want continues to happen. So the big shutdown doesn't work. It doesn't help, and it certainly doesn't alleviate the frustration that you feel. The second reaction that I see is overreaction. This is where we raise our voice in the room and we become very forceful, or we might even attack somebody directly in the room. Look, I'm trying to speak up and you keep interrupting me. So when we get combative like that, it just underscores that difficult woman thing that we really don't want to be labeled as. So overreaction, we don't want to do it, but it comes from either that narrative that we have, that prophecy that we have about this group or about how we're treated in the workplace, or it comes from waiting so long in the meeting that we are angry. We do have that anger bubbling just below the surface, and then we come out with an attack. So big shutdown doesn't work. The overreaction doesn't work. The third reaction that I see or hear about quite frequently is the sarcasm grenade. That's what I'm calling this. And that's where you may stay calm. You may not display any anger. You've decided that you're not going to shut down. You are going to say something, but you do it with a sarcasm grenade. And the sarcasm grenade can sound something like this. You throw in some comment that is meant to let everybody know they've offended you without actually addressing the situation in a healthy way. So you could direct a sarcastic remark to, let's say, John, one of your peers. You could say, well, if John will stop talking over me, I will contribute XYZ. And you're being a little sarcastic, and you might even smile as you say it, but people really don't appreciate that, okay? Because you're not having the conversation that needs to be said. You're not withdrawing, which is good, but it's just not a healthy response. It's a way of being kind of passive aggressive. So we don't want to go throwing sarcasm grenades in the middle of the room. So what would I recommend that we do instead? Because we keep letting this situation surprise us. We keep going to work, forgetting that this happens all the time, thinking that we're the only one that it happens to when it does. And so then we're angry, all over again, or we're surprised by it, like I said. So the three things that we can do when you have tried to speak up and they won't let you speak in the meeting, they keep on just railroading you unintentionally, probably. Remember, these are not evil people for the most part. Most of the time, these are really good people, but their brain is so locked onto what they are saying, or that they're waiting for somebody else to say, that they really are oblivious to the fact that you're quietly trying to speak up over here on the side. So we don't want to get frustrated with it. First thing we want to do is just breathe and go, okay, that was the second time I've tried to speak up. How do I want to handle this? They probably don't mean to do it. When I say breathe, it's all of that. All right, we're going to breathe and think through this in a way that allows us to build a bridge with people and not blow up the bridge. So we're going to breathe. And the second thing was we're going to gesture. And gesturing, it can mean raising your hand, although that's really not my favorite thing. I prefer to change my position in the room or in my seat. Okay, so there's some visible marker, that I'm drawing attention to myself, but not by trying to speak again, because that didn't work the first two times, right? So I might literally change my positioning. I might change my chair somehow. I might get up and walk to the board or to the trash can for a moment. I'm going to change my physical position in the room. And as I do that, people will be distracted from the speaker. And that can give you just a brief pause where you can then try to say what you were saying again. So first we're going to breathe. We're going to realize these folks are not evil, that you just need to try a different technique. The next thing you're going to do is either some gesture or a change of position in the room that will bring the comment to a close that's happening right now. It's a natural point then for you to get in. Okay, so breathe, gesture, and the last one is speak. What are you going to speak about? It may be just simply the thing that you were trying to say before. If you feel like it is a pattern, you can literally say to the group, there is a pattern here of us only hearing an idea when it comes from a man. I think we need to change that. Now, that may seem kind of a confrontational way for you to address the situation, but it doesn't have to be. It's all about what energy are you bringing into that? If your energy is about resolving it so it doesn't happen to other people, and so the group doesn't miss good ideas, then you have pure intentions. You don't have to worry about it. You can just say, there's a pattern of us not really hearing ideas unless they come from the men in the group. I think we need to change that. And just let it set for a second. And somebody will probably say, what do you mean? And then you can say, well, I just tried to speak up 3 times. I had to get out of my chair and walk across the room to break that pattern of ignoring me. Does anybody know what I was trying to say? So it doesn't have to be confrontational. It can be a way that your team can progress together. But you've got to, find your own words and get yourself into that energetic space where you are pure-hearted, just trying to do the right thing for the team. Okay, because it is about the way that the team works together, takes in information, and makes decisions together. That's what it's about. It's not about your ego. So what are you going to say when they won't let you speak next time? Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen again. And I hope that you're able to handle it with a little more ease, a lot more calm confidence, and build the bridges instead of blowing them up. All right, until next time, I'm Dalisia. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you being with me, and thank you for being a frontline leader wherever you are today.